Throughout the show, I reviewed a lot of anime, both popular and unknown. And since Try Future will take me a while to review, and since a lot of my more popular videos were my old crappy top 10s, why not do a list of my favorite anime? What this also means is that my list will be different from yours, but instead of pulling the generic "it's my opinion" card, I'll just say that this list should make for an interesting comment section. Alright, let's rock it. God, I still can't believe I'm going back to countdowns after so long. Then again, it can't be as weird a feeling as going to a former relative's home after they died and adopting the illegitimate daughter at a funeral proceeding. Now, I've already reviewed Usagi Drop last June, so if you want my full thoughts on the show, feel free to check out the review in the cards, but for those who didn't watch it, I liked the story of Tenkaichi trying to raise Rin as a single dad and seeing him overcome those struggles. I found the animation and watercolor art style to be really good and still holds up pretty well 7 years after it came out, and I also love the bond that developed between Tenkaichi and Rin as the show went on. Sure, it didn't fully cover the manga in 13 episodes, but the anime-only ending was still a pretty good ending all around, and as pointed out in the comments of that review, the manga-only ending was really weird and creepy, so frankly, I'm glad they didn't adapt that into the anime. So yeah, if you enjoy slice-of-life anime, you'll probably enjoy Usagi Drop despite the weird premise of a guy adopting his niece. But hey, at least he didn't marry the person he adopted. Fuck the ending to the manga. Hey look! Another anime I already reviewed! Unlike Usagi Drop though, Ouran High School Host Club doesn't have a weird premise, but instead, it has a good variety of main characters, all of which are interesting and get further expanded upon in the series, a nice soundtrack composed of classical music and other genres that are composed pretty well, really good comedy that deconstructs and makes fun of tropes seen in other shoujo anime of its kind, and a really good theme song and finale that, while anime only, still did a good job with wrapping up the series and also had fun with its cast one final time before the series ended. Sure, it has its problems from time to time, but it wasn't enough to hamper my experience with the series, which was a really good one. Speaking of stupid, are we ever going to get a continuation of the Ouran anime? Manga's finished after all. Cherry Blossoms, alternate dimensions, and a crappy ending that can only be understood by reading fan theories. Yes, my friends, it's time to return to Hikarizaka City because it's Clannad's time to shine. While I still think the movie and after story, the sequel to the original Clannad, suck, I still think the original Clannad series was an enjoyable experience from start to finish. With a good cast of characters, most of which gets several episodes to expand on their past and their issues, as well as developing not only bonds with the others, but also getting character development, a beautiful soundtrack and animation that still looks good in 2018, and a good bond between the main leads, Tomoya and Nagisa, that causes Tomoya to change over the course of the series. Clannad was an enjoyable experience that I have no regrets watching a few years ago and reacting to with my friends. Even if the results are still cringy nowadays. Son of a bitch! Overacting! And keep in mind, this is coming from a guy who's not much of a fan of romantic anime or romance to begin with, so the fact that Clannad was able to leave this much of an impact on me, to the point where I gave After Story as well as Toradora, or even Your Name a chance, that should tell you how much I enjoy Clannad. It made me into a somewhat fan of romance anime. A pity that After Story took a lot of the stuff I liked about the first series, and either reused it or made it fucking worse. I really should do a review of that series, shouldn't I? Even make it a Patreon goal? I'll think about it. Hell freaking yes! Dragon Ball Z was my childhood in terms of anime. This show left such an impact on me years after it came out that I'm still incorporating elements of that show into some of my works today. For better or worse. The kick-ass fight scenes and action scenes, the Falconer soundtrack, which, yes, is goddamn cheesy to listen to nowadays, especially Rock the Dragon, but I don't care because it's a good kind of cheesy. The characters were pretty good to watch every week the show was on, and even the arcs were great growing up with it, save for Majin Buu, but it was still something enjoyable. But nowadays, I can't see the issues with the show, and if I am ever rewatching the show, it's through COD, because there's a lot less filler, but I'd be kicking myself if I didn't include the original Dragon Ball Z on a list of my favorite anime, especially since it left that much of an impact on me. But even if it has aged, I still watch it in the fights every now and again because it may be cheesy, it may have its rating issues, and yes, the filler does get annoying after a while, but it's still a lot of fun for me to watch, even as an adult. Speaking of fun, it's time to point your finger to the heavens, everyone. Yep, I freaking love Gurren Lagann. It's wacky, it's insane, but it also has a lot of heart and fun put into it. From a great lead character, Simon, who starts off really wimpy in the beginning but gets more confident and likable throughout the series, runs becoming one of the best parts of the show, even not shedding comedy points, to a decent cast of supporting characters, to a really catchy soundtrack and damn great opening theme that I have way too many covers of, seriously I need help, to really damn great and heart-pumping action scenes. Yeah, the story of the second arc is shit and the ending with Nia can fuck off for all I care, but for everything else in that arc and before the ending with Nia, I had a fun time watching the insane adventures of Team Daiguren from beginning to to end. Happy 11 years, Gurren Lagann. You've certainly pierced the heavens. So enough about these shows that were a lot of fun to watch. How about a show that fucks with you? Yeah, Serial Experiments Lane has a lot of complex themes and plots revolving around the theme of technology, as well as the role it plays in society and how someone can become influenced/consumed by it in a psychological sense, and I think it's done pretty well, but you're likely not going to notice that on your first viewing. I mean, hell, as the series progresses, we, the audience, find out more and more about the true Lane Iwakura as she goes more and more obsessed with The Wired, this show's version of the internet, and it's pretty messed up the longer the series goes on for. Is it interesting to see? Sure, but it's pretty fucked up. Needless to say, it's an anime that makes you think, but I can admit that if you're not interested in rewatching the show in order to fully understand it, you probably shouldn't watch the show. I can also see the other flaws people have with it. The setting being lifeless, and though I can argue that the lifeless setting could be designed to make the Wired and Lane's area more appealing or interesting by comparison, to establish that in this series the virtual world may be more interesting than in reality, that's a fair complaint. The story can also be seen as a turnoff for not making any sense to people. Again, if you're not okay with rewatching it, you're likely not going to enjoy this. And while I personally didn't mind the story, and I had an enjoyable time with it, even with the complex themes, I can understand that for others they won't have the same experience and or hate the story, or hate the complex themes or its execution. Maybe there are other anime out there that deal with the same themes as this in a much better way, but I haven't seen them, so for now, I think the show is pretty good, and I do recommend at least giving the first episode a shot if you're okay with psychological anime. Alright, next entry. On a lighter note, let's talk about an anime that's a bald guy fighting random monster with weak enemies while also deconstructing the superhero and shonen genre. Yep, it's One Punch Man time! Back when I saw the show in 2016, I didn't know what to expect out of it since I saw a lot of people praising this anime, but when I finally finished it, I really enjoyed it. I personally like the shonen genre and the superhero genre, so to see both get deconstructed and or in a sense be subverted and made fun of throughout the show's 13-episode run and done really well, that is some big praise I can give towards this anime. As a result, the humor is probably the best part of the show for me, but its characters are also pretty good, even if they exist mostly for deconstruction / making fun of tropes. Saitama's likable main protagonist, who probably made me laugh the most given his weird mindset and actions throughout the show's run. Genos is one of the few straight man characters, and he plays off Saitama pretty well in terms of chemistry, and some of the other heroes like Moomin Rider are also pretty decent in the show. The action scenes are really great to watch due to how much fun they can be, and the animation's also really well done, but then again, Studio Madhouse is really good at what they do with their animation, so that doesn't completely surprise me. The soundtrack also helps make the action scenes really good, with their great use of instruments, especially guitar, and catchy beats that make me more invested in the scene. Whether it be the theme song, the battle theme, or something like Genos' techno theme, the soundtrack for One Punch Man is really damn good. Overall, it was a fun experience from start to finish, and I highly recommend it if you're a fan of superheroes or shonen anime. Still waiting on that season 2 though. So how many people are going to get pissed at me if I told you that I didn't watch this anime until last year? Yep, I love the space western Cowboy Bebop. Like, holy shit, this show left a pretty big impact on me. The great western soundtrack that's really catchy to listen to on its own, helped by the great use of instruments and beats, one of the best dubs to come out of Funimation in years, a really damn good and fun cast of characters, and each given a good amount of time to shine and expand upon to make them more interesting, and a really good story about Spike Spiegel beginning the series as a member of the Bebop and ally of Jet Black, befriending a con artist who eventually joins the crew known as Faye Valentine, as well as a quirky, fun-loving hacker named Edward, and also getting Ian the Dog, and ending the series with a final battle with his old rival Vicious with a really emotional ending. Just damn. Honestly, I can definitely understand why many people consider this one of the better anime from the 90s because, yeah, it is really good. Damn good. Is it perfect? No, a couple episodes before the 2-part finale are kind of weak sauce, and I didn't like some of the outcomes for the crew, but overall, I can still definitely recommend you see Bebop at least once if you're a fan of anime. Now, only if that upcoming live-action version is good. Hey looky, another shonen! Yep, like One Punch Man, when a show does a good job deconstructing tropes, or in this case subverting tropes, and the genre well, that's something I can really appreciate about an anime, and Hunter x Hunter is no exception, as it does a really good job deconstructing the tropes and or subverting it in the shonen genre and also telling a really damn good story. I love the world buildings, one of which being its Nen system, since it makes the battles all the more interesting and unique each time. I love most of its arcs, save for Greed Island because it kind of dragged and wasn't all that interesting. I love the soundtrack for its great composition, great atmosphere, and catchy beats, and I love its cast of characters. From the fun-loving Gon to a better version of Sasuke known as Kurapika, to the crazy but fun to watch Ahsoka, manga. My favorite is the assassin character kLuTz, and he only gets more interesting as the show goes on. Yeah, it's a long one, and the manga is infamous for its hiatuses, but I was genuinely interested in the anime, at least from start to finish, and the way the show subverts your expectations going into it, like making the Sasuke character more likable and interesting, is handled really damn well, making for an overall interesting product that can be interested every time I watch an episode. And like Dragon Ball Z and Cowboy Bebop, it also made an impact on me as well as my writing, since it helped me appreciate the villains with a lot more depth to them, and made me want to write villains in my stories with that kind of complexity instead of just villains with strong power. So yeah, I really like Hunter x Hunter, and if you're a fan of the shonen genre, I'd recommend it. But it's not number one, so let's just get to it. So, who saw this coming? Yep, my favorite anime is Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Well, I did grow up with the original 2003 series, and it was good in its own right. The 2009 adaptation of the Fullmetal manga was a lot better. At least after the first season. Yeah, the first quarter of the series is admittedly rushed if you never saw the 03 version. I will not deny that, largely because the show assumes you've seen the original series. Whoops. But for what it's worth, the Brotherhood version is still good despite the rushed pacing in that first quarter, and it does get a lot better after that first season. Pacing improves, the characters get more and more development as well as more interesting. Seriously, I love Scar and Bradley a lot more in this version than in the 2003 series, and the characters introduced in Brotherhood were also pretty well written for the most part, and the overall story does get a lot better. From its good world building to its build-up to big events later on in the show, to even a better conclusion than the original 03 series. I'm not saying that the 03 story is garbage, because honestly it's not. But when comparing the two, I honestly find the Brotherhood version to be a much better and interesting story. Outside of its great cast of characters and story, another element I love is the soundtrack, specifically its openings and endings. Holy shit, I love a lot of these songs, and they're still memorable to me even after I finish the show. The first and second openings, the first and second ending songs, the fourth and final openings, and the fourth ending piece, they are all really good songs, and while not all of them have great visuals if you're watching the anime, I find the songs to be still good in their own right. Like Cowboy Bebop, the dub is really damn good, and just as good, if not slightly better at points than the original Japanese version, with some really good VAs doing these roles. Vic Mignogna as Edward, Todd Haberkorn as Ling Yao, J. Michael Tatum as Scar, Caitlin Glass as Winry, all of which turn in great performances for the most part, and really make the characters stand out. Is it perfect? No. Does it have pacing issues in the beginning and assume you've seen the original series? Yes. But was it a lot of fun for me to watch, and is something I would watch again in the future? Hell freaking yes. Call me a fanboy if you want, but to me, Brotherhood is my favorite anime out there. So I'm David Grimm, and let me know if you want to see more Countdown's Enemy in the future. Who knows, maybe some variety to the channel outside of reviews might be for the best after all. I'll be reading the comments, so thank you all for watching, and take care.